Right, well, now, there we go. Should be working there, I think. Let's turn that one off. Evening, Steelers. If you're watching, welcome aboard tonight. I haven't done any live streaming for a little while because life has been in the way, basically. So tonight I thought I've got some Soviets you can see here for O Group. These are some ancient Soviets that I had from. These are 25 plus years old. I think these from about 1996. Actually, these Soviets they go back to. I originally based them for for Grey Storm Red Steel. So they were based with 4 figures on a base, and they've been like that until earlier this week. Hey up, Richard Hogg. Until I swapped them and I took them all off the bases and I put them onto Flames of War little bases with 3 figures on instead of 4 to spread them out a bit and also to make them a little bit more usable for things like for O Group, and I could also use them in anything like Chain of Command or I Ain't Been Shot Mum or that kind of stuff, but these are specifically for, well, kind of top level being O Group at this point. So this is a company of them. I've already done some of them earlier in the week. And evening, Lazy Pirate. So this is a company of infantry, and then I've got a load of submachine guns over here, SMG guys, because I don't actually have enough figures of rifles to make up the full battalion. I think I'm missing maybe 3 stands, so at some point in the future I might get a few more figures and just make those stands up. Evening, old school FRP, you painted houses at the 1:1 scale, nice. So tonight I thought I'd do a little live stream whilst I base them. I wanted to get these done by the end of this week, and that's been the main push really this week. So that's been what I wanted to do, and that's what I'm going to do tonight. So I just thought I'll do a live stream, have a bit of a paint in the chat, and we'll work my way through these. I won't be able to do much else with them, but I'll let them dry overnight, and then tomorrow I can just put static grass on, and then they're going to be they'll be dry by the morning, and they'll be finished off tomorrow. So it's a 2-day thing, but a relatively simple, quick 2-day thing. So right, well, I've got this diorama effects stuff here. Vallejo Earth texture. I just got this in the post just the other day. I needed to buy some of this because I ran out of the other stuff. I've gone for a different colour this time. This is dark earth as opposed to the brown earth that I was using. And this is I don't know. I think I might try and finish off what's left in here. There's only a tiny bit left, so it might only cover a couple of these. But I think I'm going to cover. They get covered in thing anyway. But I need to get rid of this stuff, so I think I'm going to use this in the first instance. So this is going to need freshening up. The good stuff about this is it's acrylic, so it's water based. It also goes on quite nicely and can be washed off very quickly. Dries quick, reasonably cheap. It's about £10 for about that big tub, and it just works very well. If you're watching, say hello in the chat. Hi Terry, there you go, and do give me a like, and if you haven't subscribed, give me a subscription as well. So first of all, so last night I was very busy with the Old Yorkshire Gamer. We did a podcast together, so that'll be coming out before Christmas, I should think. He had me on, and we were chatting all things Yorkshire and gaming. We were hoping that Sean from Gods on Scale would join us, but he was otherwise engaged, so he didn't make it, unfortunately. So what I'm doing here is I'm just going to actually liven this up a little bit with some water, just because it needs it. Evening, Patriot Wargaming Solutions. That's a new name. Hello there. Good to have you on board. And what is everybody painting tonight? I know Old School has said that David Farrell is here. Hello, David Farrell. Old School has said that he's painting a house, 1:1 scale. What's everyone else at? I apologise, I've not done many streams of late. Like I say, I've just not really. I'm still thinking about getting a 5G adapter for the loft, because I don't know. We'll see how how my connection is throughout this, and if I need to upgrade to a 5G connector rather than a 2G. But we'll see. We'll see. As I say, first things first is to get these things basted up. Evening, Keith Davis. Good to have you on board, and the Lardies. And any fellow Lardies out there, or any Wargamers. It's an open house here. All are free. Don't forget, hit that like button, smash it until you can smash it no more. Chuck any questions or comments you have in the comments there in the live chat. I shall respond to them all. I do, as some of you know anyway, I do get lag on the OBS, so I can't reply very quickly, but I will reply. What we got here? We got a nice Crusader campaign game minis. Okay, terrain, shipping containers, pallets and cars, good stuff. I love a bit of terrain. Still on your fantasy kick, painting zombie trolls tonight. Okay, interesting. Evening Britannicus Games. Good to have you. Hey Paul, good to have you on board. You're painting Spanish Frontier Dragoons for my South American project. Always something interesting from you, Paul. Always. So has anybody been to any shows recently? I don't think I've done a proper live stream for a while. The last one I went to was one at Pudsey Recon, the Wakefield Wargame Society. They had that one. It was small. I mean, it's a small show anyway, but it was particularly small this time because it was about half the size. Judith Wright, I don't think you're real. VOA, FYI. VOA? Don't know what that means. Probably starting some more PSC aircraft for Bag the Hun. But at Salute, excellent. Painted 20 so far. I got thingy the other day. Algernon pulls it off. And I'm looking at getting some 1/300 scale First World War aircraft. That's probably my next thing. What's the basing mixture? This is Vallejo's Earth Texture. This is just the older stuff I've got. This is you're not painting tonight, just getting some tips from the master. I don't know who that is. It's certainly not me. This is just the older stuff. This is like the flat Earth colour that I usually use, but I've decided to change. I made a change in my life, and I've gone for the dark Earth stuff instead. So that's what I'm going for tonight. That's what I'm mixing up. It's like it's a paste basically. It's an acrylic paste. It's got really thin sand in it. So yes. See me on Facebook, Napoleonic Miniatures Wargaming Group. Okay, I'll check you out over there. Will do. Un momento. Well, okay, so basically you get this stuff and you literally just slop it on. It's a really nice quick fix for I think it's a modelling thing initially. And then it says on the jar that it takes about 45 minutes to dry, but obviously depends on how thick you put the stuff on. Looking at where did I find the Algernon rules? Jeremy Short of Virtual Lard sent them to me, but I asked Richard for permission if I could get them first of all. He said yes, and then Jeremy sent me a copy. What I'm going to do, possibly in the new year, is when I can get hold of some planes, I'll probably do a video of the rules, and I will ask Rich if I can host the rules as a downloadable PDF on my Google Drive, and if he allows me, then I can put a link to it on the video so people can get hold of them as well. But I don't want to share them about if he doesn't want them shared about, that kind of thing. It's I'll get his permission before I do anything like that. They're pretty simple because obviously they're based off Bag the Hun anyway, so most of it is pretty much written. I think they're about 30 or so pages long. It doesn't have every single plane of the First World War, but it has most of the the usual ones. Base text. Yes, I've not used base text, but I can gather from what it's called. I'm assuming I know what it is, but yeah, it's same kind of material basically. This is just for layout stuff. I assume there'll probably be quite a lot of different types of this. And yes, a blow dryer does speed up the time. I did that before, and a lot of people didn't like it when I was doing it live. But I've got the radiator on behind me, as it's a cold winter's night, so these will just sit on the radiator, and that will speed things up anyway. As I say, I'm not planning on finishing these tonight anyway. I'm just going to do a little bit of... I'm going to get some work done, and then get these finished off. That would be great. So I have nearly 90 aircraft Wings of War and rules. Change would be interesting. It's much more crunchy than Wings of War, and I really, really, really like Wings of War. But we played it at the club the other night, and I forgot how, let's say, simplistic it is. It's a great multiplayer game because, you know, everybody gets a chance at doing stuff, and we had a great laugh. We had about 11 planes buzzing around. But it is, you know, it's not really aerial combat, but it's good fun. I need to get 1300. I've got pretty much every. I think it was about 107 world. I think First World War aircraft from the Wings of Glory line. I think I've got pretty much everything that they released, apart from maybe the very latest few that they put out. I can't remember why I didn't get those. But you need a hex map. Excuse me. The problem is, I was checking earlier today. My hexes are the hex mat I've got is a what do you call it? It's an inch hex. So the Wings of War aircraft are just too big, really, for it to be feasible. So I'm going to have to go 1/300th, which I think is a good scale anyway for First War aircraft. It's my one of my main loves is First World War aeroplanes. It always has been. So yeah, fingers crossed. That is basically what I'm going to try to do with Algernon at some point. I know Rich was working on Water Fokker because I was doing some play testing for it, but it's kind of got pushed to the back, I think, because there's been so many other systems that he's been working on over COVID, over the lockdowns and stuff. So it's kind of been pushed to the back of the queue. But you never know; it might see light of day at some point. But that wasn't using hexes; it was a hexless game. And using a manoeuvre system similar to Wings of War, where you move the base rather than like the cards that you have in Wings of War. And tonight I should have been at the club. It's a Thursday night. That's why I normally don't stream on a Thursday night, and I haven't gone because this time next week I should be in Austria. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to isolate for the week before I go, because I don't want to not go and not get on the plane. That would be disastrous, because I'm going to go and see my wife for Christmas, and I like my wife and I want to go and see her. So I'm avoiding everybody for a week, and that's why I'm not going down the club. There's obviously a lot of people gathered together, especially with the new variant. But that's where we're at. Alright. So we've got 8 people watching and only 5 likes. Come on, hit that like button if you're enjoying it. Or hit the dislike button if you're not enjoying it. Either or. It all works. All works for me. Terry says, I've just ordered a hex map from D-Cut for Bag the Hun. PSC stands 1.5 inch long, so I've asked for it to be customised. The Battle of Britain Plastic Soldier Company ones, is that, Terry? Because I'd not checked. I did look at those, but yeah, they're probably a bit too big. I just went for the 1-inch hex, but the good thing with those companies is all of them you can just basically ask for whatever size you want, can't you? And they're usually happy enough to do it. Mine was a deep cut studio one. What I did like about it is you can actually choose the colour of the, even in Little Legions, you can choose the colour of the hexes as well, which is nice. This stuff, I don't know why I decided to use the last remaining bits of this stuff, because it's awful. It's like really claggy and knackered, but let's persevere. Once I've done these ones, I'll move on to the new stuff and you'll see how much nicer it is than this crap. So there we go. When is the next show? You missed Fiasco. Yes, thanks, Terry. When's the next show? I don't know which one's coming first. Is it Van Attack? Is early on, I think, isn't it? That's in February normally. So obviously, if things are still okay after Christmas and open, then I'll go to Van Attack. I think that's the first one, and I've got a feeling that ChillCon is not long after it. Maybe only a couple of weeks, and that one's in Sheffield, and that's not very far away at all. So that'll be the next one. I was going to film Recon. I took my camera and everything, but it was just, to be honest, it was just too small. There just wasn't enough there to really film or to make it into an interesting video, which sounds a bit awful, but it really was like much smaller than it normally is. It was good though, you know. It was still a good show. It's always nice to see people out at things. It was just very small, that's all. And interestingly, there was a couple of people playing O Group as well, which was nice. So I took a few photos here and there, but that was about it. And I just thought, I'm not gonna. I don't want to film a load of stuff and then end up just not using it. Really, there wasn't much point. Fiasco was good. It's where I met up with Ken, the Old Yorkshire Gamer. So that was good to actually meet him in the flesh, having spoken to him, you know, via Zoom or whatever. To actually meet him and talk to him was a really nice thing. But again, Fiasco was small. The difference being, we were talking about this on the podcast last night. Salute was small, was still in the big place, but a lot of the people had dropped out apparently in the week before the actual show, so there was a lot of empty tables, and they'd had to set up the tables in the week before, and then people just didn't turn up, so you got empty tables everywhere. Whereas with Fiasco, although it was half of the table, you know, half of the place was being used, they'd increased, doubled the space between each of the tables, so there was only half the number of people there displaying. But because they knew that and nobody dropped out, or nobody seemed to drop out, there weren't many or any empty tables that I could see. So it felt, you know, a bit fuller than, say, even Salute did, even though it was a much smaller show, which is strange to say. It's just the mind playing tricks on you. I wish I'd done some interviews at the Fiasco, though. I should have done. I will do next time. Let's get a few people on camera. It's always a bit more interesting than just showing the games themselves, isn't it? Well, at least I think so, anyway. Even if nobody else does. Oh God, okay, I think we are. I've got this thing, like, because I'm from Yorkshire, I don't like to waste stuff. So I'm kind of really scrabbling about to get this last little bit of this stuff out, and it's like not even a teaspoonful of material. But I can't bear to throw it away, because I just don't want to waste it. Whereas, you know, I've got this brand new pot sitting right next to me that is looking at me saying, why don't you use me? Here we are. This is where we're at. I'll keep pushing on, and then it'll just make it feel much sweeter when I actually use the good stuff. So, what's on everybody's Christmas list this year? I know I never ask for, or very rarely ask for, Wargaming products for Christmas, because I usually just buy them myself. It's a skerrick. It is a skerrick, an absolute skerrick. But I'm using the last little skerrick of it. It's a very Yorkshire word with Norse origins with the SK. I wonder if I'll be able to get this onto all of these. I don't know, I doubt it. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I've asked for the Thunder on the Danube trilogy about Napoleon's 1809 Austrian campaign. So I'd like to know a bit more about it. Having been to a couple of the battlefields in Austria now. And it's not really something I know a great deal about, so I hope I get that. Or at least one of those. We'll see. Right, I'm going to give up. This is going in the bin. I've had enough of it. There's literally nothing left. I'm going to stop being a lunatic. I need to find yourself a gift of more Perry 28mm. Well, it is the time of year for giving, so you may as well give yourself something, haven't you? If you're not going to, nobody else will. Just clean these up. This is kind of... Doing this is a bit of an avoidance, really, because I've had these... I've got a load of British infantry here as well. I'm going to show you these. 18mm British infantry that I've just got sat, and they're just staring at me. And they have been for the last week, and I can't face them right now. I'll come back to them. More Total Battles miniatures, 100 days buildings in 6mm, very nice. And a book or two on battles, good stuff. Right, now we've got this stuff, I'm going to show you the actual good Vallejo stuff. So that's how it looks in there. That's a bit more than a skerrick. So we'll get this used properly. And you'll see how much easier this stuff goes on, because I'm not scraping it out of the bottom of the barrel basically at this point. See there, it's much smoother, much nicer. A real paste. But it's really good for basing, because it just literally speeds everything up. And the colour I don't mind so much. I usually use that brown, the other brown that I've been using. I've used it for a few years now. But I was thinking the other day, fields, when you're walking about on fields, and I should know this as being an archaeologist for 20 years, mud isn't really brown, it's more grey than anything else, especially when it's dry. Even when it's wet, actually. It depends on the geology, but largely in Europe, mud is quite a greyish colour. So this is why I've decided I'm going to try something else. I'm going to try with this greyer stuff instead. If I was putting this on a tank, on a model tank, I would probably ink wash it and also give it a dry brush and maybe khaki or something as well, just to give it a bit more. But with these, I'm not going to bother. I'm literally daubing it on. A Helium book or two for you. Good stuff. They're a good publisher, our Helium. They have some good stuff on there. Decisive Victory by Derek Clayton is a good one. Helium puts out. That's worth getting. About the fighting in 1918, November of 1918, as the British Army crossed the Sambre Ouse Canal. What else we got? Had one of those. Mixed it in with your vat of Bastex. Yeah. So you've got a vat of the stuff. I don't have a vat, I just have this bottle. I just ordered this online the other day, and very quickly came through, and I got my war bases earlier today in the post as well. So I was kind of ready to go. Just been waiting to get these bases and get this done. And it's normally I don't really like rebasing things. It's like once it's on the base, it's done. It doesn't matter. But for these ones, I made an exception. Like I said, they have been. They were done 20 odd years ago. 1996. How many years ago is that? Somebody do the maths. More Waterloo battle art for the war room. Excellent. Can't beat that. I should put some more Waterloo artwork up here. I've got a couple of pictures of Napoleon kicking about, but I should get some of Scotland Forever or the Quatre Bras pictures and things as well. But you can see how much nicer this stuff goes on compared to the other material when it was old and crappy and dried out. Sorry, I just heard the cat behind me. She sometimes comes up here and helps me. I don't want them hanging around. As I say, I wanted them as usable as quickly as possible. Right, so that's the company done. And what I've done as well is I've also painted a white square on the bottom of these ones because this is the white company, and I've also got red and blue companies, so I can tell when they're on the tabletop. When they're on the tabletop, I can tell exactly which company they're supposed to be part of, and that's the main thing. And I can see I'm getting an error here. It says not enough video to maintain smooth streaming. So I do apologise if the stream is a bit rubbish. So what I need to do is probably just upgrade to a 5G booster. I will do after Christmas. That'll be my Christmas present, and then at least I'll be able to do things. I'm wondering what to do this weekend. I've got a bit. Eric says books, more books, please. Yeah, books are always a good present. I'm wondering what to do this weekend because I'm kind of isolated. I'm not going to go anywhere, so I've kind of got a bit of a free weekend. I did think about maybe playing an old group game and filming it, but we'll see. The main problem with O Group is it takes quite a long time to play, or at least it does when I'm playing it, because I can't remember the rules, so I have to sit and read the rules for a bit. And here's Madeline Haynes. Yeah, another bot. Hiya. So I don't know. Maybe something like Bag the Hun or something. That's something quick, isn't it? And I put a Bag the Hun video out the other day, and it got a lot of appreciation. So I might make one of those for next year. You use Vallejo's European Thick Mud on your First World War vehicles and bases. A small green brown in colour. Excellent stuff. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, well, clay is more of a, well, again, depends on where you are. But Flanders clay, as I know, so I've been covered in the stuff, is it's like a bluey greeny colour. So it works for that. Obviously, it's all dependent on geology as much as anything else. But if you look at any fields after they've been ploughed, they're not exactly brown. They're more grey than brown. It's just when you do a lot of scenery and things, it's nice just to notice a few bits and pieces like that, isn't it? Just take it in as to what colour stuff is in the natural world. Sorry, just concentrating as I get it in between the figures here. Trying not to get it on these figures, but any mistakes I make, I'm going to cover it up with static grass anyway. It's tough, so it doesn't really matter. And these were painted a million years ago. It's amazing. These are Peter Pig figures, and they're still around. These are the ones that I had from a long time ago. Bought them in Sheffield in the Wargames Emporium. There, many moons ago. But I'm certainly getting there. I'm working my way through it. As I said, this is kind of what I really wanted to do. You must be old-fashioned. Still use sand from the local beach mixed with PVA. I was, to be honest with you, Paul, I do the same for my Blucher bases. I've got some sand, some magic, not magic sand, but kids play sand, and I just PVA the base, then sand over it, then paint it in. I paint them in green because that's old school, and then ink wash with flat earth, and then a dry brush of yellow, and Bob's your auntie's living lover. It's done. I'll add a bit of static grass over the top, but this is just something quicker. I'll sometimes use, like on these infantry here, I've used plaster, polyfiller, and they'll have to be painted rather than doing them in like a base text or something, or in this, because I wanted them. But you know, that's the way it is. What we all saying? Your armies of Passchendaele Amiens, yeah, excellent. Sand and PVA or model railroad ballast for a lumpier look, yeah. It's Yorkshire and all, Yorkshire sand, excellent, as it should be. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with having some Yorkshire, good old Yorkshire sand on the on your bases. Mine's Argos, Argo as we call it, if you're going to be posh. But they're looking all right, I think. I mean, you can see them there in the corner. I mean, what I would, like I say, if I was going to make these a little bit more patchy with the grass itself, I would probably ink wash them, maybe in a brown, and then give it a khaki dry brush over the top, just to bring out some of the colours and the shape. I mean, I don't really know why I'm doing this because I'm going to cover them in static grass anyway. But I find when you've got static grass, the best base colour for it is something either greyish or brownish, mud coloured. If you do it green, it kind of, I don't know, the green comes through and it looks a bit weird. So, you know, try and keep it as natural as possible, I guess. And the thing is, if I use polyfiller on this, I'd have to paint that anyway because it'd be white otherwise. Unless I used like a brown one, but again, this is basically a brown polyfiller, but any patches that I miss with static grass, you're not going to see, are you? It's all about tricking the audience. Smoke and mirrors. There's nothing wrong with that. Of course, sprinkle it with Yorkshire tea leaves. No, I'll be drinking that. Never mind. Not a chance. Yeah, on Ken's podcast last night we were talking about Yorkshire tea. I'll not give you too many spoilers, so you'll all have to listen to it whenever it comes out. We said it was a Christmas special, so I'm going to assume it'll probably be out by the end of next week at least. I've seen people do use tea leaves, don't they, on basing and stuff for leaf mould and things. I've seen that. I never tried it myself. Might be something to give a go. Give it a go at some point. Never say never. How are we on here? This is doing quite well actually. I'm working my way quite solidly through these. It's quite a boring little job. But as I say, if I can get these done, once I've got onto the bit of static grass in them, excuse me, that's a much easier part of it. It won't be an issue at all. Oh yes, it's worthwhile doing. I might as well do it with some company, or at least virtual company. A couple of these fellas are bent. These figures, I keep saying they're really old. Coffee grounds work with PVA, and probably smell nice as well. These were some that me and a mate bought. He used to live just up the road from me, where I lived with my parents, and we used to game together for years and years and years. And then we what do we got into well, we wrote our own Second World War skirmish rules, and then we got into Greystone Red Steel, and then we did it in 6mm as well. I wish I'd never sold all those 6mm figures, but you know, these things happen. And then he moved away. I went to university, and then we kind of stayed in touch a bit, and then he went to university at Sheffield, and then the last, I didn't hear anything from him for about 20 years. And then his dad became a delivery driver, and their family moved away years ago. Like the rest of everybody, all the family moved away. And then his dad became a delivery driver, and he was dropping off a parcel at my parents' house. Recognised the name, recognised the house, obviously, and stuff, because they only lived about 6 doors down the road from us. And it turns out that my mate Scott, he now is a professor at Johns Hopkins in microbiology. It's like Johns Hopkins in New York State. It's on the east coast of America anyway. It's such a, you know, when you completely lose touch with somebody. And I found an article about him online where he'd been awarded something like £750,000 in funding for a biological research. And I know that Johns Hopkins had quite a lot to do with research into COVID, and I wonder if he had something to do with it as well. I wouldn't be surprised, because he was a microbiologist. God knows why he got into that, but that's just the way it was. But yeah, we used to wargame together all the time. It's funny, isn't it, how things go on in people's lives, different tracks and all that. But yeah, these Russians actually, well, they still belong to him in my mind. They're not mine, because he bought them and I painted them. And we used to game with them, and I just ended up kind of having them sat in the house, and I've never got rid of them. So, a kind of testament to him. I did email him when his dad had got in touch, because he gave my dad his email address, so I was able to email him. We had an exchange of emails for a bit. But yeah, strange. Strange lives. I didn't mention that I'd still got his Russians though, because I wanted to keep them. No, I didn't actually. I'm joking. I did tell him. I said, I've got your Russians. He said he doesn't really have time for wargaming anymore. So, I think you could say they're mine now. But yeah, I still kind of think they belong to Scott rather than me. Right. Oh, keep working on these. A few more to go. I'm just getting these shifted out of the way, so I've got a bit of space. I'm sorry, I'm just rambling. Nostalgia rambling. Throw a few questions into the mix, into the chat if you want. I'll do my best to answer anything. Well, most things anyway. Dear me. Right, so I've got these 7 left to do now. That's what I said. Tonight is just a case of getting these done, and that's it. So I'm going to get these out of the way, and then once they're done, that'll be me for tonight. Just to get me ahead of the game, because then it'll be very, very quick. Howdy, rats. Good to have you on board. It'll be a very quick thing to do tomorrow, just to get these finished off, these bases. But I've got 24 in total, 24 bases. So what's that with? Each with 3 men on them. That makes us what? 72 figures in total that I've rebased. So they've got 24. So 72 divided by 4. What's that? 30. 36 off that 18. So I had 18 bases. Now I've got 24 bases. So that was the reason for rebasing, because I've now increased the number of bases that I've got. And I reorganised my storage as well, because these were actually, that's the thing I didn't mention, is that these were originally based for Greystone Red Steel, but they were largely used in rapid fire. Again, until relatively recently, until I discovered I Ain't Be Shot Mum, and then obviously even more recently until O Group was released. And because I just don't play rapid fire, these were actually I'd got two Soviet rifle brigades, and for some reason it had been on my mind for a long time to sell at least one of them, because I just thought, oh, I don't use them anymore really. I don't need to. I'm playing Chain of Command, I only need 40 figures. And it crossed my mind to sell them, and I'm really glad I didn't, because I've got just enough for what I need for O Group, for a battalion for O Group. So, but because I don't play rapid fire anymore, instead of having them organised as rapid fire brigades, I've now organised them as battalions for O Group. So I went through all my stuff, and I did the same with the Germans actually just the other day as well. Organised them from their rapid fire formations and turned them into an O Group battalion as well, because I've got a load of other Germans. Because we played O Group at the club the other week. I introduced the guys at the club to it, and it's the first time I've played it in a while. But I did put together a by Christmas game, which will be our next week, and that is an O Group game. So if you like O Group, it'll be a little treat for you next week. So stay tuned. New video tomorrow coming out, a painting video, but tonight it's next week is the big Christmas game. And I'm not going to spoil it for you. You'll have to wait and see what it is. But yeah, I'm glad I've got these done, because it can take a while. It's a boring job. Hello there, Gustav Edenmeyer. Hi, first time catching this live. Big fan of your videos and your presence in the community. Cheers, thank you very much. That's very kind of you to say. My pleasure. Welcome on board. Good to have you here. Yeah. Sorry, let's keep kind of concentrating on these. You've knocked the stuffing out of me there, Gustav. I don't know what to say to that. Well, thank you. It's very much appreciated. Ugh. The only trouble with this stuff is it gets all over your hands as well. But it is nice because at least you can clean it off pretty easy because it's acrylic, so it doesn't get too stuck. I'm noticing as well as I'm going through these figures that these are bent all over the place. The weapons and things. Rat says, how do you like O Group for Pacific battles? I'm looking at doing some what if scenarios, the Operation Downfall, Japan mainland landings, and I'm having trouble finding a good high level rule set. Well, my Pacific stuff is more the early part of Malaya, and that is perfectly well handled by O Group because a lot of it was battalion level actions. And I'm going to play some more at some point, probably in the new year. For the Japanese landings, I think it'd still work pretty well. I don't think that'll be a problem. It's a great game, and it works very well. It feels like a battalion level game, so I think it would work very well because there's some nice little nuances in it that would allow the Japanese, to ambush and things like that. You could just change some of the rules around so the Japanese have got a bit more of an ambush ability on it. I spoke to Dave Brown at Salute, and he said he was going to be producing more handbooks as time went on, all across the entire Second World War. So the first one is already out for the fall of France, and then there are going to be other ones like Normandy. Probably will be the next one, I would assume. But he said he was doing some Eastern Front ones, and I did say, what about like the Pacific and stuff? And he said, yes, that is also on his mind as well. So there's good ideas out there. What I would probably do is I would think about having a look at even like maybe Rapid Fire, see if there's anybody that did any scenarios for it, because that's about the same level. Also, IMB Shop Mum as well. Have a look at some of their expansions and things and supplements, because some of those again might well have some good ideas for that kind of thing, and give you a good idea of organisations and stuff that you can use. I mean, in the rules, the Japanese aren't covered, so you kind of have to make them up yourself. But most Second World War battalions were pretty similar anyway in structural, especially by the end of the war. And the Japanese, with the loss of manpower and things, they would have they would have a much smaller battalion structure compared to what they did at the start of the war. But it's a great game, really good game. That's a very long way of saying yes, buy it and play it. Do I have any tips on painting red? You always struggle and never help with the finishes. What I do, Paul, is I use Vallejo's tan yellow. Let's see if I've got it here. I sometimes use it as a flesh colour as well for Caucasian flesh. Let's have a look at it. It's quite a nice. There it is. I don't know if you can see that. It's quite a nice colour. As I say, if you put it against my hand, it's quite a Caucasian flesh colour, and it's got a nice thick pigment on it. So what I'll do is I'll undercoat in that, and then paint red over the top of it. I never had a problem. It's what I did with my 6mm figures, because I was using it for flesh. For the British 6mm, I painted the flesh, and then I painted the tunics at the same time in the tan yellow, and then just painted the red over the top, and it worked perfectly. It's a nice base coat, and it's not white, so it's not too stark. Although I've undercoated the 18mm British in white, and I'm painting red straight on top. But yeah, it works. It's a nice warm colour for the red that you need, really, I think. Check it out. That's my tip. Not that I'm an expert or anything, that's just what I do. Okay, we're down to the last two now, folks. We said the Britannicus. Best red paint I've used is by P3. I don't know their stuff. I usually just use Vallejo because I like it. It's I haven't really found any of their paints to be particularly bad, but as I was saying, again, talking to Ken about this last night, everybody has their own favourites, don't they, in this hobby? And there's always a million different ways to do things, and you always, it's whatever works for you at the end of the day, isn't it? I don't know. Hey, Joy of Wargaming. 3 shades, but the bright red is beautiful. Okay, I'll have a look out for it. It's obviously using a lot of red paint in my sharp practice stuff. Obviously, a lot of the British are red. Right. Yeah, you'll give it with the trumpets as you're about to start. Cheers. Yeah, just give it a go. See what you think of it. See if it works out. It certainly works out on my 6mm stuff, and it's what I normally do with red on other figures as well. I've used it on bigger figures, and it works perfectly well. It's just because that the pigment in the tan yellow is quite nice and thick. So, but the pigment in the red is not very thick. So that's the problem. So when you paint it white, you get pink almost rather than red. Whereas with the tan yellow, you've got that warmth of the yellow already in there. Right, this is the last one, folks. And I'm going to call it tonight, I think. It's been nearly an hour of nonsense, and it's got me through this desperately boring basing. As I said, these will be finished off tomorrow. I'll get to these at some point, probably tomorrow afternoon, and just give them a quick flocking, and we are done. I did earlier on. I did finish off some what you call it, the combat patrols for the Soviets as well for O Group. If you have a look on the community tab on this channel, you'll see I posted a picture of them earlier on. I finished them. Quite chuffed with them, how they've turned out on 2-inch bases. Right, that's your man. That's the last one. So I think they're looking all right at the moment. I'll just turn the camera so you can see them. But yeah, that's the whole power of and you see those? I actually got it in focus. I can't tell because my streaming software is a couple of seconds behind. Yeah, there you go. You can almost see those, can't you? Good page in chat. Thank you very much, Patriot Wargaming Solutions. Good to have you on board. Yeah, look, there you can see 24 of them, all finished up. They won't take very long now to dry. Because I put this on a little bit thicker, it'll probably take more than 45 minutes. I could stick them on the radiator, that would speed things up, but I'm not going to finish these tonight. It's 8:30. I'm going to go and chill out and probably watch some telly, I think, now. That's going to be my next thing. And then I think that's actually, that's half, no, 2/3 of a battalion, I think, isn't it? Let's work it out. Each of those is a company. So that's 1 company, 2 company, and this is the 3rd company. 3 bases off a full battalion there. Alright everybody, well, thank you for watching, thanks for being a part of it. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Been following me since the Bluka 6mm. Ah, great stuff, good, glad to hear it. Thank you very much. Hit subscribe, give me a thumbs up, vote for me in the Little Wars, what's it called, the Caesar Awards, and I will see you on the next Paint and Chat, which possibly might be next week. No, I'm not going to give you any promises, but we'll see. Maybe over the weekend. Let's see. All right. Good night, and thank you, everybody.